Welcome back to another video. In this video I want to share with you everything that my family of 4 ate for breakfast this week. So the first thing that we're going to make is some waffles using freshly milled flour. This is something that I just recently started making. I got a waffle iron at the Goodwill and it was all rusty, so after I cleaned it up I started making waffles for my family and it is now a favorite of ours. I think we enjoy them more than pancakes. If I'm not in a hurry to make breakfast, I will mix the flour and the milk together and let it sit on the counter for like 30 minutes and just let the flour absorb some of the milk. And then in the end, the batter is a little bit thicker and it doesn't turn out to be quite as dry. Today I was in a hurry though, so I decided to just go ahead and mix up the batter and make the waffles right away. Since my waffle iron is made of cast iron, I like to heat it for at least 5 minutes so that the waffles don't stick when they are cooking. And then I like to turn it off in between uses so that it doesn't get too hot and burn the waffles. I like to use my pastry brush and just brush a little bit of lard onto the cast iron so that the waffles don't stick. I have seen people also just use a stick of butter, but I found when I did that, too much butter melted and then the waffles ended up being too crispy on the outside. As I mentioned, I found this waffle iron at a thrift store and it did not have a base with it, but I knew that I could probably use it without one or maybe find one online. I had previously removed rust on one of my cast iron skillets by putting it on a bed of coals in our wood stove, but it was summertime so the wood stove wasn't going and I ended up just putting the waffle iron into storage and I forgot about it for a few months and then I pulled it out and decided to clean it up and use it. We have been using this a lot the last while and I love how non-stick it is. The waffles don't stick when I'm cooking them and it makes really delicious waffles. I will leave the link to how I cleaned this cast iron in the description box below if you want to check it out. We like to eat our waffles with whipped cream and fresh fruit if we have it, and then I'll just put the leftovers in the refrigerator and pull those out and reheat them for a quick breakfast on the next day. Whenever my family gets tired of eating eggs for breakfast, or if I just need a really quick breakfast one morning, I will always make some cream of wheat. My favorite way to make this is with hard red wheat. It gives it a lot of flavor. So I start by heating some milk and then adding the flour directly to the milk and allowing it to cook until it is thick, and then we just serve it as a porridge with some butter, some milk, and I like to put frozen fruit into it to help cool it off faster. I was gifted this tortilla press for Christmas last year, and this is the first time that we are using it. We decided to make some tortillas using whole wheat as always. And then I used these tortillas to make breakfast burritos and also fajitas for our dinner that day. I am going to fry some potatoes to put into the breakfast burritos. I like to dice the potatoes up rather small so that they cook faster. And then I'm going to fry them in lard until they are about halfway done cooking. And then I like to add a chopped onion. Doing it this way will help to keep the onion from burning. I've discovered that if I put the onion in with the potatoes right away, the onion will be burned by the time the potatoes are done cooking. I am also going to brown some sausage. I like to add lots of sage and salt and pepper to our sausage. I also found some ham in the refrigerator, so I chopped that up and we are going to put that into the burritos as well. Another breakfast that is very quick and easy to make is cornmeal mush. This is something that we have been eating a lot of the last while. It is a new recipe up on the blog, so I will link that as well if you want to try it for your family. To make this, I just start by mixing some cornmeal with some milk, and then I add it to some boiling water and cook it until it is thick. And then I also like to serve this with some frozen fruit and some peach syrup. Whenever I am making this to serve as porridge, I like to add a little bit of sugar to it to sweeten it. But if I am making it to use for fried mush, I just keep the sugar out and then we can pour some syrup over the top once it is done. I like to make a double batch of this, then we can eat it one morning and then I just put the leftovers into the refrigerator and then the next morning I can pull it out, slice it up and fry it in some butter for a really quick and easy breakfast. On this morning, I was grateful that I had the cornmeal mush in the fridge because I had a baby that wanted to be held, so I didn't have a lot of time to make breakfast. So I just grabbed the cornmeal mush out of the fridge and sliced it up, and I was able to get breakfast on the table in no time at all. For our last breakfast, I'm going to make some French toast. I have half a loaf of sourdough bread that needs to be used up, so I sliced it, and then I'm going to mix together some eggs, milk, vanilla extract. I like to just leave the bread in the egg and milk mixture for quite some time so that it can soak up the moisture and then it won't turn out to be quite as dry. This loaf was made with just flour, salt, water, and starter, so it got a little bit dry faster than a sandwich loaf would. This morning I mixed together more sourdough. I just made a basic dough with flour, salt, water, and some starter. I love the convenience of sourdough. I can just put it on my counter, and then whenever I think about it, I can do a few stretch and folds. I ended up putting this loaf into the refrigerator and letting it ferment overnight. Then I pulled it out and baked it the next morning. This morning it was just my daughter and I for breakfast. My husband was at work, so I decided to not make any eggs for us since we weren't really that hungry. If I decide not to make any eggs, I will just put the leftover eggs that I used to soak the bread into the pan and scramble those up with a little bit of salt, and then we just eat those for our protein. I hope you enjoyed this little peek into my kitchen to see what I am cooking for my family for this week. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.